You usually start. You do a whole introduction and everything.
Um,
Do you
Hi
want?
all, it's Bud Freund. Let me jump in and do a quick introduction. Welcome everyone to our SCORE webinar on LinkedIn Leads for Business at 13 minutes a day, which I am really looking forward to hearing about from Lorraine Duncan. A few words about SCORE. We are the Fairfield County chapter. We have about 130 in bench strength. We provide not only webinars, which are our only means of education right now, but we also provide counseling, which can be done one-on-one, and you can use the links you see on screen to schedule through our chapter website, fairfieldcounty.score.org. This recording, this webinar is being recorded and will be available from our YouTube channel within the next couple of days, and you will be able to find a link for it on our chapter website. I can speak rather knowledgeably about Lorraine. She and I have been in business groups together. I have done the production work on other webinars that Lorraine has done, and I can tell you that in Fairfield County, this is one of the people who truly knows her stuff about LinkedIn and social media. So without further ado, oh, one last thing. If you have any questions, please put them into the chat window, which there's a link at the bottom of Zoom. Open the chat window, put your questions in, and we will be able to have them answered at the end of this presentation. And now, without further ado, Lorraine, it's all yours.
All right. Well, I just wanted to thank you for having me again. I so enjoy these webinars, and my goal is just to make sure that you get the right teaching and training that you need to move your businesses forward. Just a few little things about me. I'm not going to do a lot about me. You can always just go to my website and go to the About Me page and find out more. But I launched my BizGo on Social in 2013, and I authored Shout It Out, which is a book about social media. This is my 4 children. They're all grown and out of the house, so I am an empty nester. And this is what my book looks like. You can get it for free if you're an Amazon Prime member. So today, getting right to the point here is these are the 3 points that I wanted to talk to you about today. One is making a LinkedIn profile client attractive, learning the LinkedIn 13 minutes a day system, which is my proprietary system, and some growth hacks. Take some notes. A few little statistics here. Every 90 minutes, 37,000 links are shared, 900 pages are viewed, 170 members are here, 10,000 new members every 90 minutes, plus 2 new members per second today. So this is one of the reasons why you need to be on LinkedIn. Here's a couple other stats that I thought were pretty cool, is that 51% of companies acquired a B2C customer through LinkedIn. 93% of B2B marketers consider LinkedIn to be the most effective site for lead generation. And I have to say that even though I love being on Facebook, I have to say LinkedIn is the place to be. And LinkedIn generates more leads for B2B companies than Facebook, Twitter, or blogging individually. And the rest you can read later, or when you join my Facebook group, you can see the graphic. I just don't want to read this off. If you also want my slides, you can also text me later about it. LinkedIn strategy. I think the thing before we get into 13 minutes a day, I really feel that you need to have a strategy. Why? Because you need to strengthen your brand. You want to drive traffic, not just to LinkedIn, but other places, including your website. And you have to have a plan. You have to have a content plan.
Right. That's the name of it, isn't it? Stupid skincare?
I'm sorry, I can hear you talking in the background. So anyways, you want to have a content plan and be active on all levels, such as your profile, your group. When you're on LinkedIn, you want to be active, and I'm going to share a little bit more about that. You want to have some goals and measurements, and you definitely want to integrate your marketing plan into LinkedIn and other social media platforms and your website too. So there are three kind of LinkedIn users. You're probably one of them, or maybe none of them. Or hopefully you do have a LinkedIn profile, but if you're one of those people who don't do anything on LinkedIn, but you simply just set it up, you are considered a ghost. You are invisible, nobody sees you, and just because you have a profile on LinkedIn doesn't mean anybody's going to it or anything, because you're really not active. Then there's the recruiters or the job hunters. So I put them in what, there could be four kinds of LinkedIn users, but I put recruiter and job hunting in the same category. But you know those people that, you know, they scout you out and they want you, or they're looking for a job. They actually scout you out and want to get hired by you. And then of course there's the superstar, and I consider myself a superstar, and I am actively engaged on LinkedIn. I do everything that I possibly can to be seen without being obnoxious, of course. And I love connecting with people. So I'm actually what you call an open networker. So your brand on LinkedIn. So before I get to the 13 minutes a day, there are some really important things that need to happen to make you be a superstar on LinkedIn. And this is the most obvious thing to do, but a lot of people do not have that, their profiles completely filled out. If you want to be a superstar on LinkedIn, you have to have everything filled out on your profile. This has to be done before you do this 13 minutes a day, or you're going to kind of look kind of not very professional, especially if you don't have a photo. So the bottom line is that there's several things that you need to do ahead of time before you start your 13 minutes a day. You need to have a photo, and it should be a professional photo, not a picture of your dog, not a picture of your cat, but it should be a up close face, current. Because one of the things is I do a lot of networking and I see a lot of people in person, and sometimes I don't recognize you because that's not what your LinkedIn picture looked like. So make it very current, make it professional, and make it very good. You know, you could get a headshot for a very nice price right now, or have your husband take a really nice picture of you, or your friend, but there's no excuse for not having a good photo on LinkedIn. Your headline, it should be, I always talk about this thing, and I said in the beginning, client attractive. Your headline isn't supposed to attract you, but it's supposed to attract others. So make it so that when somebody reads it, that they will understand what you do, and it will be catchy. You need to have your current job, your title, in the text. You need to be linking some media. So meaning you should have like some blog posts in there. You should have some links in there. Your summary. This is where most people fail. This is the long thing that people think that this is a resume. It's not. Make it client attractive. Make it interesting to read. Don't list a whole bunch of stuff that people don't want to read, because believe it or not, people do read your LinkedIn profile, and you can make it or break it on the summary. So make it interesting. Make it, I always like to switch it up a little bit. Sometimes I also put a link in my summary to my website. So there's a lot of things that you could do with it. What I highly suggest is when you leave this webinar today and you have some time, over the weekend or whatever, go to your field, whatever you are. If you're a financial person, go to other financial people. If you're a social media person, go to other social media. If you're an author, you get my thing. Go to the profession that you are in and look to see what other people wrote and be better than that. The other thing is at least 3 previous experiences. 2 is okay, but make sure that those previous experiences are ones that are relevant to what you're currently doing. Make sure you list your skills, your educations, have at least 50 contacts. Now, I actually don't connect with somebody who they have to have at least 200, 300, because I don't want to connect. It's very important to connect with people that are active on LinkedIn. And I look to see when the last time they posted, when the last time that they connected with somebody. I watch those things, because the problem is you got people that they want to connect with you so they can spam your connections. So, and there actually is, there is actually settings that you can go to. And unfortunately, this isn't the technical side of the webinar today. This is more of my 13 minutes a day. But you know what I get. You just want to make sure that you understand what each of the settings do in LinkedIn, and you want to make the settings either public or private. If you're making it private, nobody's going to see you, so you really do have to make it public. So other tips that I think are really important, and I kind of said this already, but you have to fill in everything in your profile. And it will tell you, you'll go all the way to superstar. It will say you're 100%. You want to create some kind of network or email strategy. And what I mean by that is you want to make sure that you're networking in some groups and you're able to mingle and have conversation flowing really great. You always, when you have a title, and if you're going to be creating your own group, because groups, I'm going to bring you to groups here a lot today, but groups are so important because you want to make sure that your group has an interesting title. So the other thing is that you want to make sure that, and I had, these are more so notes for me, but you want to make sure that you're feeding your contacts. And what I mean by that is that everything that you post on LinkedIn, you want to make sure that it is going to be relevant to LinkedIn people or the people that you want to attract. You also want to feed your network with goodies. So very relevant content and a lot of educational stuff. Please don't post a buy me post on LinkedIn. Nobody will read it. Nobody will even like it. So you want to invite and expand your network always with a personal message. So don't use, I say this all the time, you'll see this invitation that you get. I see that you are part of my professional network, blah, blah, blah. Write a personal message. If you want to connect with me, you need to take the time to explain kind of why you want to connect with me. You know, and it doesn't have to be long. It should be no more than, 2 sentences. Hey, we met at a networking group. We had a lot in common. I want to connect with you. Have a group strategy. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that later on. You want to be visible, and the only way you're going to be visible is by having a full profile, posting at least once or twice a week, and connecting and actually accepting connections. That makes you visible. And you want to start giving honest recommendations. I see a lot of recommendations out there that were like, they don't look real. So especially like they have this endorsement thing, they kind of did away with it, but sometimes it still comes back up where you endorse somebody for a skill. Some people have it, some people don't. And the bottom line is that they endorse you for a skill that you don't even do. So what I want to say here is make sure if you still have access to endorsements, you want to make sure that they're honest, and your recommendation should always be honest. You cannot recommend somebody that has never done work for you, or you don't know anybody that they did work for. I say this all the time because I've been asked to give recommendations to people who I don't know. And I tell them, no, I cannot give a recommendation in good consciousness that, it just wouldn't be right, and it wouldn't be of integrity. So one of the things is people do business with those who they know, like, and trust. And you want to be that trusted source. So you cannot recommend somebody that you don't know. That's all I'm going to say about that. You want to integrate LinkedIn in your other channels, meaning you want to make sure that you have LinkedIn on any about sections on other social media platforms, in your auto signature, on your email, and on your website. So that's the quick thing. So other stuff. This is what people do and share. Okay, so because you do have to make posts. You should make posts. So you want to do some tips, advice. I highly recommend tips and advice. Activities and events, maybe once a month. Pictures and videos that are educational or business relevant. Articles that are educational, business relevant. You can do some stuff with your website, like what you do and who you are. Occasionally, you may want to have discussions, more so in groups than anything else, and you do want to share recommendations. All right, here we go. This is what we've all been waiting for. If you have all that stuff in place, Then 13 minutes looks like this every day. And I do this every day. Okay, so this is something my clients do this every day. This is something that we do. We make sure that we want to make it so it's not tedious and it doesn't take a lot of time. So the most important thing you want to do, and you don't want to spend more than 2 minutes. You can literally do this in 10 minutes, to be honest with you. Depends on how much work you have to do. But give or take a few minutes here and there, and you can use more time to like connect or more time to accept. Okay, so here's my 4 things is you want to view, you want to connect, you want to check your tabs, and you want to be accepting. That's my routine. And this is what I do every day. So the first thing I do is, of course, I log in. And I log in 5 days a week. I usually do not go on LinkedIn during the weekends, but occasionally I do if I have to do some research or I want to get set up for the week ahead of me. However, I spend about a couple minutes looking at who's looking at my profile. Why is this important? Okay. Because for instance, about 5 weeks ago, I'm a social media expert, and I had about 30 social media people looking at my profile. Guess what? That is not client attractive for me. So that means there was something in my profile or something that I posted that was attracting social media people. Yes, they were probably scouting me out and seeing what I had written and seeing what I'm doing. I get that, but there was a lot of them. And so I tweaked it a little bit, tried to make it more, my headline and everything a little bit more client attractive, and I started getting different professions, which is what I was looking for, more B2B, other B2B professions. So you always want to, that's kind of your starting point. You want to make sure that the profile that you set up to run this 13 minutes a day is attracting the people that you want to attract. Okay, the next thing, the most important thing, and I said this earlier, is you want to connect with people. Take time. I recommend connecting with at least and these are people that didn't reach out to you first. These are people that you've been wanting to connect with. Sometimes it's a matter of searching it out in the search bar. So say that like, for instance, I want to connect with real estate agents today. So what I will do is I'll type in real estate, and actually I want to type in real estate brokers. So I'll type in real estate brokers. I'll look to see who's in my area, and I will connect with them. Hey, I see that you're in my area. We're in this, sometimes we have something in common. Maybe it's a school. Like I went to Sacred Heart University. So sometimes I'll see that in there. So they're alumni. So you want to have some reason to connect with them. Always a personal message. Do not use their canned message. It's very impersonal. And to be honest with you, I've done a test with this and just doing their canned message. And I got less people connected with me with that canned message, unless they were friends of mine. If they were friends of mine, then a canned message worked. But you want to make it personal. I love to do this after I go to either a Zoom networking event, or I go to an in-person networking event, which hasn't been too many lately. But when I do that, I collect some business cards. I always wear pants with 2 pockets. I'm right-handed, so those are the people I want to connect with on LinkedIn. And anybody who goes in my left-hand pocket, they're not really my ideal client, but I keep them just in case I want to do some coffee with them, or we have some strategic partners. But that's basically what I do. This is connection. You want to connect, and that shows that you're active. The next thing is that on the top of LinkedIn, checking the tabs is so important, because you have the home, you have my network. My network tells me who accepted your connection request. And then sometimes what I like to do after somebody connects with me, this is a huge step, and by the way, and just a side note here, I have templated little personal notes that I have. Like I like to always give an article to people who connect with me, or something that's for their profession. So, for instance, how does a real estate agent use social media for their advantage? And I'll send that. And it's usually a Forbes article or something that's more expert than I am. It's kind of a way of giving. Thank you for connecting with me. Here's a short article that I think would be relevant to your profession. Drop me a line and let me know what you think of it. And that starts the conversation happening. That you can find on my networking, where you can see who is connected with you. Jobs, if you're interested in jobs, there's a whole job tab, and you can set up perimeters around the job. For this 13 minutes a day, this is more for finding leads as a business owner. Messaging is really important, because if you see a little red 1, 2, 3, or 4, above in the messaging, you need to be able to answer those messages. That's why you're spending time on the tabs. You need to, reach out to anybody who's sent you a message, and sometimes you get some notifications. You don't want to miss anything. That's why you check these tabs every day. And then the last part, which is a really important part of this whole 13-minute routine, is you want to accept invitations. And, but you want to accept invitations that make sense. Okay, so like for me, like if it's somebody who's not a business owner, and really we probably don't have any reason business-wise to, to be connected to one another, or I'm a little bit suspicious if they're even, they just want to get a hold of my contacts, then, I don't connect with them. If I do connect with them, this is the time-consuming thing. I have another template that I've pre-written, and it basically says, thank you for reaching out to me to connect. I'm really happy to connect with you. I'd love to, sometimes trying to bring it to a conversation, if they could be a potential client of mine, or sometimes if I feel like that we can really help each other in business, I write a personal note along the lines. But again, the same thing when you're accepting, don't just accept and not say anything. It's kind of like if I was on the phone, I called you and I went, "Hi, Jimmy," and then Jimmy hung up. So Jimmy answered the phone, but then he hung up and he didn't say anything. So that's what it's like. So you want to think about, when you think of social media, that's like the most important thing. You want to be social, you want to be connect, you want to be genuine, you want to be real, and you want to make sure that you are accepting genuine connections. These are real people that are doing real things on LinkedIn. So this is my routine. I do this daily. I spend about 13 minutes. Some days, I like to make it doable, because we're all busy. And now more than ever, we're spending lots of time online. And I think that LinkedIn shouldn't rule your life, but you should be aware of its power. There's so much more to how you're doing things on LinkedIn. And you want to make sure that these 4 things that you're doing every day. I talked a little bit about that. So I promised some growth hacks, and I wanted to, that's my 13 days. I'm leaving a lot of time. I'm going to be leaving a lot of time for questions. So it helps me better to help you and know what people want to know and learn. But my growth hack number 1 is, I think it's important that you should know how to succeed in LinkedIn. And so a couple little key things, and make sure you're taking notes here, is you just don't want to prove connections and do nothing else. So recently I ran a campaign. I had connected with a whole bunch of people and realized that never did anything else after the connection. Once you connect with someone, you need to have a plan in place of how you're going to converse with them. So, if you're a real estate agent and you're looking to connect with mortgage people, okay, very good strategic partners, you need to bring it at some point to, like, how can we work together? How can I help you? How can we meet so we can talk over how we're going to help one another? That type of thing. So that's the strategic partner type of thing. If you're looking to, like, bring it to a client, that's a little bit more, it's delicate. It's very delicate. You just don't want to jump as soon as they connect with you. Can you buy me my product? You want to start a relationship with them. It's kind of like a dating relationship. You're bringing it all the way from just meeting to going out a couple times to eventually maybe getting married, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what you're thinking about when it comes to LinkedIn when you're, especially if you're an open networker and you're connecting with people you don't know. Now, keep in mind that LinkedIn really wants you to connect with people you know. And so if you're connecting with people you know, make sure those are strategic too, and make sure you don't go right to, like, you haven't talked to them in 20 years since your high school reunion, and all of a sudden you want them to buy your, Papil's Pocket Plitzer. Seriously, you really want to warm up the relationship. I mean, it really does. If you're connecting with somebody that you haven't talked to from high school, how's life been treating you? How are you doing? How's your family? That type of stuff. That's how deep you want to go. You just can't go right to, like, I think you should buy my product. And here's the thing that people neglect the most is we don't take the time to learn how LinkedIn can best be used for, like, me or for yourself. So meaning you really have to, like, I know now because I've spent a lot of time on LinkedIn how it works best for me and what I like to do on it. And those are the things I like to do. So those 4 things that I, shared before, the, connecting, the viewing of the tabs, the accepting, all those things are very important to me. And that's what I want to do every day. You want to take advantage of the functions and the tools and the services. Now, I get no money for promoting this, okay? But if you want to go deeper into LinkedIn and you're really going to use this for, like, so say your business, you do a lot of prospecting or a lot of cold calling, you need to have the tools. And one tool that is really great, and it gives you a deeper search, is Sales Navigator on LinkedIn. It does cost money, or you could be a premium member, and the premium member, of course, costs money, but you get more in-mails. Now, I will say that I actually am running a test right now, and I'm not conclusive on the results yet because I never tell people to buy the tools. So if you're new right now, don't buy the tools until you are consistent on LinkedIn. However, if you're ready to go deeper and you're going to use the tools, then I highly recommend at least starting out with premium, so you can send more in-mail messages. And as I was about to say with the in-mail messaging, you get a certain amount, and I think it's 60 or whatever. And if you don't have it, if you have the free version, I think they only let you send about 2 or 3. I haven't had the free version in a long time, so I don't even know what that looks like. But the bottom line is that the jury's out. I've done tests both ways, and I'm still trying to see, like, what I get, when I do a long letter with a subject line, because that's what an in-mail is, that lets you have a subject line. So your subject line, by the way, has to be very good. Again, like I tell everybody, and I consider these all growth hacks because they're so important to growing your LinkedIn, but you need to have some goals, and you need to have a content plan, and you need to follow it. Maybe having a plan and goals and stuff, maybe moving forward, just one thing, like making sure that you're connecting with right people and you're doing great searches and all that. Those type of things are so important. And maybe one goal to move yourself forward is to get some templated personal things and some articles or something you can share with your potential clients. Whatever that is, but make sure you have one. And the last thing that I'm going to say with this growth hack is use groups to brand yourself. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit. I think another growth hack, number 2, is going to be a great strategy, is being part of a group, having your own group. And so I just wanted to share these couple things when it comes to groups, because I think it's really important. 2.1 million groups. There's probably more by now, because at this slide I did a couple months ago. There's 8,000 new groups weekly. Membership in an average 7 groups. 200 conversations per minute. So here's what's important. So say that I want to connect with real estate agents, okay? I go into some of their groups. Now, some of their groups are private and they don't allow outsiders in. They only want real estate agents in. But if for a chance that I am able to get into one of those groups, I just kind of troll them. But what I do is I wait for a question, and I spend about maybe 10 minutes a day on this. when I'm prospecting. Okay, so this is different than what I'm going to be doing every day. If I want to spend extra time, I go into a group with my ideal client in it and I listen. Believe it or not, listening in groups is the most important thing because you want to be there when it's time to answer a question. And so I spend about probably 20 to 30 minutes a week in a group, and I choose a different group every week, and I wait for that right question, and I literally answer that question. Believe it or not, I've gotten the client through that. All right. So, and I'm just, you can also build your own and your own network, your own group. You can network in groups. You can have customer groups. So that's a really good thing. So say that you are one of these people that, you sell, a really popular product that you've had a lot of customers. So maybe you have an email of all those customers. You may want to invite them to your LinkedIn private group, and then you can have a customer group, and then you can always nurture that group with different sales and different education. Maybe they bought, maybe your Apple and you have a iPhone 10 special group, and you have education and hacks around that thing. So if you get my drift, that's what a customer group would. You can have a project group, people that you're working together on projects. You can start your own group and attract your customers. Like I have a BizGone social group, and I have about 200 people in there. And every once in a while, somebody will connect with me through that and want to connect further. And then think about what you're going to post in your groups or what you're going to share in your groups. A lot of groups have very strict rules, and they don't want to, and they don't allow you to like post your blog post or post, sometimes they let you do articles. Sometimes they just want you to converse and discuss in the group. So that's another part of your LinkedIn strategy. If you're doing all these things, you're very active. And to be honest with you, you don't have to spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. There's so much more. So that's all I wanted to say that. Again, I always want to give my information at the end of this before I answer any of your questions. You can text BizGone Social to 6400. And because I didn't get to spend detailed time on this, you can schedule a free LinkedIn profile audit with me. It's about 30 minutes. It will say an hour on the time trade link, but it's about 30 to 45 minutes. So allow that much time. Again, I give you the link to my book. And I have other things. When you go to it and you get my phone and you get this, basically I'll have my LinkedIn, so you can connect with me on LinkedIn. Just write me a personal message saying you want to connect with me from the SCORE webinar and see if you learned anything today. Remember, personal message. Tell me what you thought of the webinar. And also I have a Facebook group, private, all education. We don't sell in it. We have one day that we have a share Saturday where you can share your stuff, and it's in that post. So that's it. I mean, I'm going to open it up to questions now. I feel that I covered a lot, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions.
Thank you, Lorraine. Hi, this is Alan Rosenberg, a business mentor at SCORE Fairfield County. And a couple of questions have come in, and I will read them now. One from Tony is, what level of membership do you recommend on LinkedIn?
Okay, so if you're just starting out and you're just learning to navigate LinkedIn, I just recommend do the free. You can do the free for a very long time before you upgrade. If you're
Okay.
if you're a heavy prospector, at that you determine once you get the knack of how to use LinkedIn, then you would upgrade to premium. And then I also see along the same lines with this whole premium, I saw something else that just kind of popped in the chat, that they were a premium user, not really sure of the best ways to use it. The best ways to use premium is the advanced search and the in-mail messages. if you're not using the advanced search and the in-mail messaging, especially if you're not going to do 60 in-mails a month or whatever they give you, you probably shouldn't waste your money. It's like going gambling and putting your money in a slot machine.
Okay, here's another one from Britt. Do you recommend connecting with people who are in the same field?
Okay, so I kind of covered that a little bit in the webinar. Yes and no. So if they're big people like influencers, yes. If they're not, they're not going to be a potential client. So probably not. And then lastly, if they're a friend, yes. So if you have a friend that's in the same field you are, it's okay to connect with them.
Okay. Just as a reminder to everyone, and I'll come back to the questions, that all of this webinar will be posted in a few days on the SCORE Fairfield County website, and that's fairfieldcounty.score.org website. And you can go and get all of Lorraine's presentation plus her contact information will be there as well. Let's see. What level? Oh, we did that one. I'd like to hear more about groups. Which ones do you recommend are really active and worth investing time in?
So any group, you have to do a group search. And then you kind of look at them. Some will say private, some will say not private. But you're looking for people that are your ideal client. So for me, any B2B, for instance, is good for me. But I like to go into like some of the big groups, which is the entrepreneur groups and business owner groups, local business owner groups, like there's the business owners of Norwalk or something like that. So wherever you're from, because I know sometimes people come from out of state to these, because I've talked to a few people that were out of state. But the bottom line is you want to make sure that these are people that, you're going to join it and you're going to contribute to it. So it should be your ideal client. And then, yes, I do recommend. So for instance, I have a friend who's a therapist and she is in a therapy group with other therapists and they talk insurance stuff and all that kind of stuff. And you know what? That's a very helpful. So I suggest maybe 1 or 2 in your profession. And then the rest, I think they allow you to join up to 50 groups. That could have changed. Things are changing actually again on LinkedIn, but it used to be you could only join 50 groups. I recommend joining all 50 and then alternating the groups you want to be involved in.
Okay, and this is from Ava. She has a small business, 2 owners and 1 marketing person. Should she have a LinkedIn business account and a personal account? And should we use the same LinkedIn business account?
All right, so this is a tricky question because, so I'm Lorraine Duncan and I use for my business LinkedIn and my LinkedIn, I use Lorraine Duncan. You can have a company page, which I do have, but it's really hard to grow it. And I just decided that it's not, I mean, I do spend some time on it, but I really haven't grown the company page. The company pages that grow are people like Coca-Cola, Nike, the established big ones that are automatically going to get a lot of people on it. Right now, BizGo on Social isn't a company that is nationwide. So and a lot of people only use their company page. But like I said, I've looked at like at least about 100 company pages from little companies, and there's 5 or 6 people in it. So I recommend, actually, I think the personal, unless you want your own, unless you want to keep your personal separate. The problem is I tried to divide it out and you can get flagged from LinkedIn about it. So you want to be very clear about what LinkedIn's going to allow you. So for instance, I have a nickname and my nickname is Lori. and I have another business that I do occasionally, and I wanted to just have my own private page for that. I was told by LinkedIn that I could not do that. And so, you don't want to get into LinkedIn jail, because I've been in LinkedIn jail for, I kind of crashed the algorithm by accident, and I did too much keywording, they said. And so they put me in jail for 3 days. So I was punished.
But you're out of jail now, which is good. Okay, here's another one. Can you provide more specifics about what you changed to reduce competitor views and increase views from your target audience?
Yeah, so it's just it was a little tweak actually. In my headline, I changed my headline to author, and a couple other things, expert social media strategist, and they only allow you a few. So I keep on changing that around. And then my summary, I talk about what sort of the overwhelm when it comes to social media. And I changed that up a little bit. So I don't even know what it says today, because I change that every month or two. I highly recommend it. Always keep it fresh. Like, I want to keep mine under a paragraph now, my summary. So I'm going to go back in and change that, because I just think we're so overwhelmed with words. But the bottom line is I just keep on tweaking words. And I don't know what that looks like for everybody else's business. I work with a copywriter and a storyteller that she's an expert at changing words around like that. And sometimes she will help me with the tweaks and stuff like that. So
Okay.
just think about, it's all about a word. Sometimes if you write social media all over your headline and in your summary, you're going to attract other social media people, for instance. So that's how that works.
Okay. There was a question on groups. Which ones do you think are worth investing time in?
Yeah, I already answered that. The ones that are worth investing time in, or where you can have the most potential, where you can contribute most to, and the ones that are where your clients are going to be, where your potential clients are going to be. So the social media group that you do join, or I should say whatever. So if I'm a real estate agent and I join a real estate group, I'm really not looking for clients there, but I'm looking for support. So in your field, you're looking for support. Out of your field, which should be most of the groups you belong to, you are looking to be that person that can contribute to the group and possibly get to a connection and a phone call at some point.
Okay, and again, you just partially answered this. What's the best way to research groups?
There's a search bar in the top black bar. So where you have the home, jobs, and all that connection, networking connections, all that. You can search groups through there, or you can go into the scroll down where it says groups, and you hit groups, and there'll be a search bar in there. It will show you your own groups that you belong to, and then you can search other groups.
Okay, this is from Jim. Do you need to have a personal page to set up a business one?
No, it's one setup, and then from the setup, so yes, you have to have the company page. I set up my company page through Lorraine, Duncan. So yeah, I guess you would have to. I do not know if you can do it separate. I've never set them up separately.
Okay, this is another one. This is about your personal group, Lorraine. Someone asked you if you can repeat your group for your business group that you have, if they wanted to join.
Yeah, I have a group called Biz Gone Social. So that's the only group that I have on that is my group. And then the other thing is one other thing I want to say about groups here is that if you are B2B, which most people that are on LinkedIn are B2B, Basically, you want to join groups with other business owners in it. So there's like set groups like business owners of Norwalk, business owners of Westchester County, networkers. If you see like networkers, those type of groups are great to join. A lot of great clients in there.
Okay. That's about all the questions that we have for that. Here's one on, can you toggle premium off and on?
Yeah, I saw that. Ginny asked that question. As far as I know, is I had turned premium off once, and I actually had to sign back up for it. There was no toggle for it. Now the back, they changed everything to be more user friendly in the in the settings. And so if you go through all 5 of those where it comes to the different settings, you may want to check to see if they changed that. I'll look at that later because somebody else asked me that the other day. But as far as I know is that if you shut it off, you shut it off, and then you have to join back again for a premium. Because I had shut it off for a while when I knew that I wasn't going to use it for a while.
Okay. If you're
There's actually,
new,
you know what? There actually is another important question here that I think I should address. If I can read it, it says, does private messaging with people on LinkedIn provide current interactions, meaning a more updated, active person? So I do this, I do a LinkedIn reach campaign for myself all the time, and I do it for other clients. And I find that with the private messaging, not everybody's going to respond. And some of those people that don't respond, for instance, they're what I called in the beginning, they're ghosts. These were people that are really never on LinkedIn. They just kind of set up their profile, even though they looked like a good person to connect with and they had connections. It just didn't work out. So they're not really interacting. But the people that maybe you've met through like some kind of networking thing, and then you connect on LinkedIn, and then from LinkedIn you start having a meaningful conversation with them, such as the small weather talk first, moving to something even more deeper. It turns out really good. It's a process. Remember, everything you're doing is a process. So that's why if you're spending 13 minutes a day, you're not trying to do it all in 1 week.
okay. Here's one is, when looking for a career change, what's the best way to drop your unneeded skills while highlighting the ones that will translate over?
Right. Now they have, you got to go to the job section for that. And that it will ask you when you sign up for jobs in LinkedIn, it actually prompts you to answer the right questions. And I actually went through this process, and I wanted to be I decided just to see what it looked like. I wanted to be a social media creative. Okay. And to be honest with you, I answered all their questions specifically, and I answered them. I spent the time. I mean, remember, it probably took me about 35 minutes to do, but to be honest with you, I started to get job interviews. I mean, not job interviews, but people recruiting me right away. I hope that answers the question. I've never had to look for a job on LinkedIn. So, but I did do the process of seeing what happens after I fill out the whole job form. You go into jobs, and then it will prompt you. There will be questions that they will ask.
Okay, here's one is it a good idea to get rid of previous groups that are no use?
Yeah, you can unjoin them. I've done that several times because they only allow you a certain amount of groups. I think it's 50, and I've gotten over it. I think at one time it was 30 actually. And so I wanted you have to stay under it. So I would leave a group that no longer served me anymore, or I wasn't even going in it anymore.
Okay, here's one from Roxanne. Is it appropriate to post the same content on your personal and company page?
All right, so if you do have a personal page and a company page, I s- anything's appropriate. There's no rules with this, but what you want to think about is on your company page, you probably want to make it very much educational. And you want to make it all about your company. And you can also do other kinds of posts like behind the scenes posts and all that kind of stuff and company culture. On your personal page, remember you're connecting me to you, and it's a more personal connection. So again, you still want to stay with the relevant educational stuff, but you also want to share other people's articles or other companies' articles. I'm big on sharing stuff from Forbes or Entrepreneur Magazine or Business Net Week or whatever it is. Or I share other people's stuff, or I do my own. Sometimes I'll put my video on. Right now I'm trying to be a LinkedIn Live person, so I've been posting more of my videos lately. They still haven't accepted me into the LinkedIn Live yet. So, but it's really, that's what the whole problem is that running a company page and a personal page is really tough as it is. And if you can, I think that you get your more bang for your buck just with the personal page. I really do.
Okay, so this will be our last question from Britt. I get notifications that people are looking, but I can't see them unless I purchase premium. Is
Right.
this only a sales technique, and there's any way to see who's looking?
No, there's no, you can't. I think they allow like 3 or 2 people per every time you go on or whatever. But yeah, it is, to be honest with you, it is a sales technique. But if you want to see who's viewing your profile, then you pay for it, and then see, it would kind of gauge you, and then you can always cancel it.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay, that's all the time we have for questions, and thank you very much, Lorraine. And as a reminder, the recording of this webinar and the materials will be available in a couple of days at the fairfieldcounty.score.org website. And our next webinar will be at 12 noon on Monday, October 19th. And the topic is win-win problem solving with Steve Gardner participating. On the behalf of SCORE, I'd like to thank everyone for participating today, and also thank Lorraine again. And remember, for free counseling, please go to the SCORE website and click on Request a Mentor. Thank you. Have a good day.